Welcome back, pleased to see you. Today we are talking about the Pain Reaper for Corepunk. Let's get into it. So the Corepunk class we're talking about today is the Pain Reaper, and they are pretty much a mage class through and through, with one of their specs being melee. So very interesting class, and at least gives you a bit of options moving forward if you want to switch it up a little bit. So I thought let's get into it now before I ramble too much. Okay, so we'll do a little splurge on what the Pain Reaper is. Born in a world of demons, the dreadful Pain Reapers cast terrible curses upon their enemies, leaving them to rot alive. Spurred on by the flames of hell, Pain Reapers bring about massive destruction with their fire magic and torment enemy souls with their crescent blades. So you see where we're getting like the two little bits of different classes here. So the first class we're going to talk about is the Pyromancer. Pyromancers are ranged mages that are masters of casting destructive fiery spells with the help of magic orb and create portals to control enemies. They use their abilities. Pyromancers gradually heat up, empowering their abilities and increasing their damage they deal to enemies. So they've got a cool, like, yeah, they do fire spells, they get hot, and then they can like really start banging them out. So let's get into their first ability, which is their Q. The Pyromancer throws out a fireball that deals fire damage, that deals magic damage to an enemy, and the additional effect is the fireball deals magic damage to nearby enemies and increases its range by 3 meters. So going over the Pyromancer's special ability now, which will make sense, when they have medium and hot, which will increase the amount, will unlock basically their additional effect for their spells. So it'll let them, if once they get to medium heat, that will give it an AoE and extra range, and that's just by continuing to cast spells, and you'll slowly heat up. So your W, the Pyromancer creates a portal for 3 seconds and slows enemies that are within it, and at the end of the effect, when the portal closes, it pulls everyone that's in it into the center and stuns them for 1.5 seconds or roots them. And additionally, if you're heated up, it causes them to take magic damage. It's set on fire and they take magic damage. So very fire based, this class. And the Pyromancer, it's in the name, isn't it? And then their E ability, the Pyromancer dashes in a line, leaving a trail for 2 seconds that deals magic damage, of course, and over time, and then reactivating it returns you back, so you can run forward, do some damage, and then jump back if you're PvPing, or if you're fighting monsters. You know, you can get close with that dash and then get out again, which I really like. And then if you upgrade it, if you're heated up, the Pyromancer explodes, dealing magic damage to nearby enemies. So you explode when you go, which I think is pretty neat. And then your R, the Pyromancer calls down a meteor in the target area, dealing magic damage and stunning enemies in the area for 2 seconds. That's massive. That's a massive stun. And additional effect is the meteor's radius increases by 100%, so it just gets bigger. Like, that's pretty cool. And yes, so their special ability is every spell the Pyromancer casts gives them heat, which fills their heat meter. Reaching yellow zone, 50% grants the Pyromancer's bonus effects, and once you hit the red zone, 100% grants all abilities an extra 30% damage. But if you use it when you're at that kind of temperature, you take explosion damage. So bit of risk reward there, right? Like, you've got enough hit points to kill this boss. If you do it, it's probably worth it, right? It's just one of those things you've got to keep your eye on. Me, I would forget completely, and I just go bam, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm dead. So the next class we're talking about here is the Soul Eater. So this is the melee assassin class that uses crescent blades, and they also can, so they just jump around. So let's have a look. So the Q here, you leap in a direction. The first enemy you collide with is rooted for 1 second, and you strike them 3 times. Bang, bang, bang. I love it. And then that's pretty much what that does, and applies on-hit effects. cool. W, the Soul Eater creates a Soul Shadow, and upon recast, the Soul Eater teleports their Soul Shadow. The Soul Shadow detonates on contact with the Soul Eater to deal magic damage. So I'm not quite 100% sure how that works. So if it walks in a line or if it stays still, I'm not quite sure exactly on that ability. I'm not sold on it, but from reading the little blurb they give you, it's something I'll have to wait and see later on down the line. The E, the Soul Eater lunges, stabbing with their crescent blades and deals physical damage to all enemies in a line. If the ability at least hits one enemy, it can be recast and you cleave forward, so you do another dash forward, dealing physical damage in all enemies in front cone. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to be honest, this doesn't really interest me in the slightest. The Soul Eater, so your R chooses a select location and after a short delay creates a cage. Enemies are trapped in the cage take magic damage and passing through the edge of a cage stuns them. If the ability hits at least one enemy, it can be recast and the Soul Eater throws their blades in the target direction, dealing physical damage to all enemies they hit in that part. That's okay, and then your special ability to go along with all these skills. You have a chance on basic attacks to drop soul shards. Picking them up grants the Soul Eater and their allies reduced 1 second cooldown on all their abilities. The picked up shards return to their owners, dealing magic damage based on the spell power of those who pick them up. Stepping on soul shards, enemies destroy them. Yeah, I mean, it's cool, but maybe that's just not my playstyle. It doesn't really interest me. So far I really like the Pyromancer. And then the final one is the Warlock. Now the Warlock, from what I can gather, from what I've read, is pretty cool and it's quite mechanical. So this is for those, I feel like the Warlock is for the more mechanically minded players. They want a little bit more to go on doing something to do that's really engaging. I don't know if it's me. I like the Pyromancer. So the student will go fire with the magic chain and direction. This takes people from them and enemy or encounter. So this is like a healing type healing class. I don't know. This the last 2 spins. This is between the wall and the target is 5 meters of the tutorial's broken. And the wall still cast basic attacks. So you're not like okay, but while the trigger is up, the trigger deals magic damage to an enemy and more damage increases over time. And if it's tricky to an ally, the Warlock sacrifices a portion of your heart, which increases the ally increases the yeah, that's really fun. So you got the Warlock. Otherwise, it's a buff that runs from these other very other things that make them so you get the Warlock will have additional healing in the last 6 seconds and that can be 2 enemies. So it's basically a dot enemy healing. I guess you can ask for that enemies one or two on an hour to work. If we're playing this as a first it could be kind of fun. Like one dog on the box. Yeah, I can kind of see it now in my head. It's like it's getting there. I don't know whether I like it or not. Yeah, the Warlock debuffs in the enemy. After once it's played, you need to reduce the debuff on the ship and heal it up. So you cast it in a way that's and then the fear is activated. The ability to use the reach on any ally binding fear on the enemy's soul. When the fear quite a lot of capabilities. So that is the Pain Reaper. I would like to find Corepunk, and just still itself Corepunk.